Hey everybody, Jake here, and today we're going to do a quick disassembly of the Rike Hummingbird. This is a little knife, but I have had some issues with the pivot loosening itself, so we're going to take it down. You can see how bad that centering is there. And the worst part is I can actually tighten it with my finger. So what we're going to do, you can see it going over there. What we're going to do is go ahead and take it down and clean it out, and then Loctite that pivot with blue temporary Loctite. Okay, so let's go ahead and open it up. I do believe all of these screws on here are T6. You may see a bit of an optical illusion that the lock bar insert screws look larger than the pivot screw. That's not the case. As far as I know, the only thing I'll have to actually remove to get this knife taken down is the pivot and maybe the screw on this side. We're going to find out. Okay, so we have T6 driver, lube, alcohol, and Q-tips. Knife lube, guys. Knife lube. Okay, so go ahead and back that pivot on out. I'm not a big fan of T6 screws. They are shallow and they strip like hell, but in this case, I can't imagine them doing anything all that much bigger. Okay, let's go ahead and take out the clip screw and see if maybe that is enough to get us out of here. Normally I suggest keeping these in order, but if it's only 2 screws, surely you can remember where they go. Well, maybe that's not enough to remove it. Okay, let's take off this one here then as well. Now I'm going to have to separate them a little bit. Okay, looks like we've got some disassembly here. There we go. Holy heck. Look at these bearings. Look at how small. I'm just going to bring out another knife here just to show you. Here's the Booz Blade Aero Mini. Look at how tiny those little bearings are. Holy crap. Okay. Okay. Sorry, this knife's kind of freaking me out with how small it is. So, here is the little Damasteel blade. I do believe it is Damasteel. Set that aside. We have another super tiny little freaking bearing. And then, of course, we have our backspacer here, which I guess you can remove. I'm not really going to worry about it. Ceramic detent ball, that's nice. And then we have our little baby stop pin. It is not fixed. It is removable. I believe I heard a question on that before. Yeah, you can take it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll lube it up, put it back together, and make sure that pivot is Loctited so it doesn't keep backing out on me. I think a lot of people purchase this knife as kind of a novelty. It's like, oh, it's fancy, pretty, and ridiculously expensive for the size that you get. I think these retail for about $150. That is not what I paid at all. I don't have the kind of money where I could spend $150 on such a little tiny knife. But yeah, these are made by Rike, which is a company out of China. And if you are into knives at the moment, chances are you know that China is producing some ridiculously high-end stuff, especially Rike. Rike and Riyadh are probably at the top, like price-wise and stuff. And then you have Wee Knives, which is pretty up there. Kaiser. They're making some really good stuff over there, and they're really challenging other brands. Now I'm in America. I'm not really one of those people. It's like, oh well, it's produced in China, I don't want it. No, I like to see what they have. I think it gives competition to other countries, especially because American knife manufacturers at the moment are kind of slacking off. A lot of the American designs aren't even made in America, and these Chinese brands are beating the crap out of them because they don't have to pay for all the fees and whatever. So you can get chances are you can pay the same amount for a Chinese knife and get something better made with better material. I try to support American companies whenever I can, but I'm also not going to get my face ripped off You know, spending $50 on a knife with 8CR13 MOV when I can spend $50 and get Fiji 10. Or if you go really shady, you can get S35 VN or, you know, D2 or something like that. Okay, that's a different rant. Knife is cleaned up pretty much. Not a whole lot to clean here because of how small it is. So I'm going to go ahead and begin assembling this again and lube it up. And hopefully it will be running a little smoother. The action on this guy is actually fantastic, which it better freaking be for a $150 knife that's less than 2 inches long, I think. But the only gripe I really have with it is that... real quick, this pivot looks to be free spinning, so be careful with that. Anyway, the only gripe I have with it is because of the damascene steel pattern, this knife, you can actually feel it when you're closing it, not so much when you're opening it, but kind of running over that pattern, because it is textured. And it's a really pretty blade, but that gets a little bit annoying, which I may be coming off as a little snobby, but, you know. Okay, there's a crap ton of lube on right here right now, so I'm going to kind of lube the pivot and the bearings and the thing that sits between the bearings and the scales and everything, and do it all. Okay, so I've got that in there. I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of lube here. A little bit of lube in the detent ball path. And we're going to put our bearing back on. And lube it up a little bit. This is probably a little bit excessive. Don't go crazy. I do like having my knives run very smoothly though. But that is just me. That's completely up to you whether or not you want to do that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put this back on here. Get it fixed back up. Now normally at this point I would put in the pivot screw, but before I do that, I just want to put some blue Loctite on it, just to make sure that it doesn't back out again like it's been doing. You don't need a lot. You just need a very tiny little bit. If I can get a little bit out of here. I'm really cheap about some stuff. Some stuff I'm not. But if it's something that I don't use every day, I will... Oh, that was a way too much Loctite. That's actually from Spyderco, where I had them take one of my knives, or not take one of my knives. I had to order some replacement parts from them. So go ahead and wipe off a good chunk of that. Just put a little bit. You don't need much, especially with a screw this small. I'd be really paranoid about stripping it out. So just be very, very careful with the amount of Loctite if you do put any on here. Or any knife, especially if it's a T6 screw. Just be cautious. And one very interesting thing too about this knife, let's see. Yeah, centering's pretty good. We'll leave it there. And the Rike logo is not lined up like I like it, but it's fine. It's okay. I'm not gonna let it bug me. I forgot what I was saying, but that's all right too. But yeah, just be careful when you're working with T6 screws about Loctite. Some companies, Spyderco, use Loctite pretty regularly. Their Golden, Colorado factory has just switched over to a temporary thread locker, which is much better. But a lot of their overseas companies in Taichung and Seki City still use Loctite as far as I know. So just be cautious, especially when disassembling those. So let's see. Definitely a little smoother. I still feel that grit from the blade pattern, but I don't think you're gonna really get anything different from that, just because the steel's textured. But yeah, the action on this guy was already, you know, pretty good. I really just want to take it down just to Loctite that. So I'll go ahead and let that sit. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Keep an eye out for upcoming videos. A review of this knife should be published when this disassembly video is, as well as, you know, some other stuff coming up. All right, thanks, guys.